y'all doing? I'm so happy to be here today. I am here with Anissa, A.N. Sage, and we have slain the tech gremlins. So we are here, and I am so excited to get into this interview with her. And I want to welcome her to the stage, and everybody give a big welcome to her. And with no further ado,
Hi everyone. It's great to be here. Yes, finally have managed
yes,
to get in.
We figured it out. We figured it out. Yay!
And yes, disclaimer, this is not my office. I am in my toddler's room because that is the only place where I was able to log on and when they're not working on our air conditioning. So
okay. That's fine. That's fine. We got it done. We got it done. I'm so excited. Well, let's just jump right in. I'm going to ask you the question that probably everybody asked. When did you want to be a writer, and did it involve ghosts, witches, and vampires right from the start?
The ghost witches and vampires were there right from the start. The writing thing. So I did write my first book when I was 12, and it was awful. No, it will never see. I don't even know where it is now. It was probably in a garbage can somewhere. But it was terrible. It was a ripoff of a Goosebumps episode, I'm sure. But and there were ghosts.
Okay.
So that was always there, and I did always write. I wrote more poetry and kind of like self-reflection and more nonfiction type of things. My poetry was published when I was younger, that kind of stuff. I started writing. I think my mom said my first rhyming poem I was 2 years old when I wrote that. So I've always loved to invent. Yeah, I'm sure it was about a cow.
It was about a moo cow. Yeah.
Oh yeah, the cow and I wanted to take a ride with me in the car, I guess. But yeah, so yeah, always been writing. Ghosts and witches have always been around. I've always been like obsessed with paranormal things, even like as a kid, when everybody was playing outside, I would gather like all the kids and I would give them little notebooks and I would tell them there's a werewolf on the run, and then we all have to look for clues to, find and track the werewolf. So that's always been around. As far as seriously writing and publishing, I think like a lot of creative arts, I always just thought, get a good job and don't, creative doesn't pay and you have to take care, and all of these typical. We immigrated, and so it was like the typical mentality of like just get something with benefits.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I never I went in the creative field, but I went more into creative management. But always writing. I always had blogs. I always had something that was going on where I was always writing something until it became a thing, I guess.
Yay. Awesome. Well, growing up in Toronto, did the city influence your love for magic and mystery? Is that something that influenced you at all?
Yeah, so I actually grew up all over the place. So I wasn't born. Yeah, I was. We moved to Toronto when I was 12, 13, when the first book was written. Was in Toronto. So I guess yes, I suppose. But yeah, it kind of did. There's so much in Toronto. Toronto is such a vast multicultural environment where we have so much influence from all over the world, and so you always hear stories, and and I always like listening to different like paranormal type stories from all over the world, and people who come from different places, and hearing kind of like what their lore is. I've always been interested in folklore, especially dark kind of fantasy folklore. So yeah, it's helpful for research, I guess.
I love that. As far as your writing process goes, what draws you most to the paranormal and fantasy genre in your storytelling?
So I think the mystery of it, because I do write a lot of mystery. So apologies if you hear any banging. The air conditioning is getting fixed. Okay. But yeah, I do write mystery I'm very drawn to mystery of any kind. And I think when you throw in the paranormal, it's an added layer of the mysterious, of something we don't understand, something to solve, and something to try to rationalize, like we do with, murder mysteries. And so the combination of the two is always really interesting, because you would have the mystery of the core mystery, which for me usually is some sort of murder, or something dark like that. But then when you throw in the paranormal on top of it, there you can do like a B plot and look at the mysterious in a different light, like almost in a noir type of way.
I like that. Yeah, I like the noir.
Same. I'm really drawn to darker stories now.
I'm very into all of my books are really like thrillers, and really, get into the nitty gritty and have those twists and turns. And I enjoy writing that. Is that something that you go into it knowing you're going to do? Do you start with a character or the world or a spooky premise when writing, or how do you know you're going to go into it?
Yeah. So honestly, every series or every book, depending if it's a standalone, has been a little bit different. In Orchard Hollow, so I started with the character, but it wasn't even the main character. It was the snarky ghost sidekick, who is basically like a very rich type carried like a housewife.
Yeah.
We were watching Housewives with my husband, and it just kind of spurred from there. And so Stella came into my head first, and so it started with her character, and kind of progressed to the group of characters from there. And then in something where I'm working on a romantasy now that's coming out for pre-order already next year, but it's gothic and it has mystery, of course. And that started with the world and the magic system. And so just because it's so intricate to the plot and the mystery, the way that the magic system works, and the two characters, they came from a whole different story that I wrote. They came from a flash fiction that I was working on, and when I finished it, I the consensus was there's a bigger story here, and so I kind of transported them into this world. So it does really depend. I think for me, the mystery itself, I think the only time, which is funny because the only time the case or the mystery has ever come first was in the Dead We Keep. Because that one, the character, she works in a funeral home, and in my head was the arrival of this body, and some things are awry, right? And so that's the only time that the mystery came first. But usually it's either characters or the vibes.
I have some more questions about characters and themes, but first, because you brought it up, let's jump into the Orchid Hollow Cozy Mystery series that started with I think it was Grave Roast Cafe on Slay.
So Grave Roast is the first one, and then Cafe au Slay is the second
one. Second, okay, and then Killing Grinds.
Yes, there's Yes. So there's 6 books total, and then a holiday novella, and that series has completely all like wrapped up. So the Orchard Hollow mysteries are done. There is a spin-off off of that one that has 3 books out. So, and then
how did Piper's World begin? How did she start?
So that started with Stella.
It did start with Stella. Okay.
It started with Stella, and then the next thing that kind of came from that was where Piper works. So Beam Me Up, the cafe that she owns. I kind of had this image of like a witch who can see ghosts working in the cafe and across the street from a hotel that purportedly is haunted, but actually is not, and she's the only one that knows it's not. And then the death happens at the hotel, and some from there it kind of all unfolded.
From there. So I guess we know what came first, because I did have this question, but you've already answered it. Which came first, Piper the Unlucky Witch, or her ghost familiar, or the raccoon sidekick? Yeah. So we know it was Stella. So that's awesome. What can fans expect from Double Long Murder, Mistletoe and Mocha, and Murder in all the series? Like, is this it? Are you done with the series? Was book 6 yet?
That specific series is done. So
Okay.
that's wrapped up. The overarching kind of mystery that with Piper's magic and the whole background and the love story there and everything, that all gets wrapped up.
Okay.
The mistletoe is kind of like an added novella that you can read, and it's set in between a few books.
Okay.
And from there, we actually have Miss Brooke Manor, which was a spin-off that I was asked to write based on the same world. So there is a nod in one of the books in the Devil in the French Press.
Okay.
In that one, there is a kind of a tip to a funeral home that Piper has to visit, and the funeral home director is not home. But the new series is all about this fairy funeral home director, and she stumbles on a secret society of undertakers that solve crimes. There's a talking cat who's actually a changeling that's trapped in a cat's body because of a clerical error. and there's a whole bunch of shenanigans that happen here as well.
That's so fun.
Yeah, it's fun to write that one.
All right, well, let's talk about Shadowhurst mysteries, and that began with Witch of Shadows. So what inspired Billie's story? Billie Stonewall. How did she come about?
Yeah, so Billie, I think she just popped into my head as is, to be honest. Like, I just kind of like pictured her, and I pictured like a witch who was cast off by her coven, and she's obsessed with this coven. She wants to rise in the ranks, and she used magic in front of humans, was cast off, sent to a small town. It's a young adult series, and so she ends up in a high school full of witch hunters. And trouble ensues.
Out of all of the, and I'm going to read them off so my listeners can know the names of the books. Out of Cavern of Lies, Town of Illusions, Mirror of Secrets, Realm of Misery, Crystal of Doom, or Portal of Ruins.
Oh, and
Book of Billie.
And Book of Darkness, the second.
And Book of Darkness, because it was up. Yeah, I have a little arrow.
I know. There's a lot in that one too. There is a novella on that one too, which is Billie's mom's story.
it takes Billie on a journey. She goes through a lot. So, which of the books was probably do you have a favorite that the boy writing?
So I think I'd have to. So I think Cavern of Lies I really like that one, just because that's when we get another POV introduced into the story. I think out of all of them, I'm trying to think which one would be a favorite.
I know, it's like asking a mother which kid she loves most. I know.
Yeah, it's hard. And that one is a continuous series, so they're not like they have
not done yet.
Yeah, so it's hard. So they're all the characters grow and like the relation. I really love the relationship between like Logan and Savannah, which are the third and fourth POV that develops. But I actually really enjoyed writing the novella in that one, which with Billie's mom's story, just because it gave me like a different perspective, and we don't really get to see her perspective as much. We know that her mom is imprisoned, that Billie doesn't speak to her, and then we don't really find out kind of like how she got to where she got to, because they do like repair the relationship, as for later books. But
I think that in Portal of Ruin, Billie faces an evil Fae King.
Yes.
And sealed portal. Is this the most intense scene that you think you've written?
I think the ending of the series, it would have to be. So again, it's tough. I don't know if like in all of my career, it's probably not the most intense scene that I've written, but in the series, I think because and I mean that's a bit spoilerish, so I won't give away too much.
Right.
There is a reason why like facing the king is such a big deal for Billie and to become the king. And so it was her growth as the books progress, like because she's growing up, but it was really interesting to write the book starting as very young adult and kind of move more into new adult as the story moved on. And so that was interesting to do. As far as the most intense scene. I think some of my more intense scenes were in The Dead We Keep as far as young adult goes, because that one is a much darker story. And in this gothic romantasy, because that one has, it's almost nightmarish, the creatures that are in that world. So some, yeah, were really intense to write.
Really, right. I can't wait to read it now. Many of your leads in your stories are witches, or mixed magical.
Yeah.
What do witches symbolize to you in your stories?
I love all things witchy. There's crystals all over the house. All my decor is some kind of witch. Yes, there you go. Yes, so you know. Tarot cards, I have a huge collection. I've always been. I went through a phase where I really tried to follow like a Wiccan like religion, and it was just it was too rigid for me. Like there was a lot of things to do, and I just kind of wanted to have fun with it and do my own thing. So now I stick to crystals and tarot cards. But witchcraft is always like, you know, since you're a kid, right? Like you watch all these shows, like Halloween's my favorite holiday, right? Yeah, and there's always witches, and they're always misunderstood. You know, and I like the idea of the villain not being a villain, or of something that's dark and bad not actually being dark and bad, right? So the misconception of the witch, which, I mean, as we know through history,
right? How do you balance the spooky elements with, especially with your book that's coming up, with, or does that drop off in this new Gothic book? How do you like balance the spooky elements with the humor and romance ideas that have all your other stories that I know of have that's kind of intertwined all the way through? So how do you balance that?
So I think you have to really like put them into different compartments. So in the Gothic that will be coming up, the characters have a lot of banter, right? It's an enemies to lovers, and so there's, you know, but they're both got some personalities, right? And they're from different, you know, sides of the world, basically. And so the humor comes from their interaction with one another. But then for me, the spookiness and the darkness, and especially like the Gothic elements in this one, they're in the world. So the world building really takes care of that. And so I like the juxtaposition of these like lighthearted conversations happening while people are being terrorized outside by monstrous beasts, right? Because I think in life, like I love humor. That's like our thing. And we use humor all the time when things are uncomfortable or not right, scary. And I've always done that. And so I try to do that in my books as well.
When I was going through cancer, I was notorious for inappropriate humor.
Yes.
And my doctors, my oncologists and radiologists, they just got used to me. But they had this one poor little nurse intern person that was in there one day, and she would just go, she would just look at them like, this is okay? Okay. So I totally get that.
It is. Yeah, it's important. I think.
I am the same way. The snark and the sarcasm. Yeah,
it can be dark all the time.
Yes. You have mentioned a vampire boyfriend in Orchard Hollow description. How do supernatural romances involve in your plots?
Oh gosh, sorry.
Evolve.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That's okay. That's okay. I hear them, but it's not bad.
Yeah. It's not bad. Okay, because I don't know how you can hear on your end, but it's tragic over here. So I think the thing for me with the supernatural romances is I treat it like any other romance. I think I try not to bring too much of the actual supernatural into the romance, because I try to stick to like those human relationships and the actual the characters, right, and how they are with each other. And I think once I start, I also try not to introduce a lot of the paranormal into the solving of the mysteries, because I want to keep that as human as possible. I just want that. I want people to have like a direct way to relate to these characters and to relate to the mysteries and to be able to solve them on their own without using magic powers, you know, because the readers, you know, can't just hocus pocus their way through a mystery. And so the way I try to set up the romances is the same way I set up all the mysteries, is that they have to be kind of like 95% like human elements. And then, to spice it up, we can add like nods to the paranormal, and obviously the vampire and the witch and the way that their relationship is. There's like a little bit of a push and pull between the two, but for the most part, their struggles and whatever roadblocks they face, they're not paranormal roadblocks.
Okay. So moving on to personal fun. You're a Scorpio and a massive advocate of leggings for pants.
Correct. Yes.
How
does not wearing them now because no air conditioning.
I know. How does astrology and fashion feed into your creativity?
Oh, okay. So I was I don't know if people know this, but I was a stylist, a fashion stylist, as kind of like a gig for. I did a whole bunch of different things, as most creatives do. We can't sit still, right? We try different things, and so fashion has always been like a big influence. I worked in fashion for a long time in my life, and so I've always for me, it was always a way of trying out new characters. Like it was almost theatrical, where like depending on what I put on, it changes how I feel that day, or how I act, or how I present myself to the world, or the person that I am. And especially like in university, I went to art school, so fashion was a very big thing. Everybody, the weirder you dress, the cooler you were, right? So that plays a really big part. As far as astrology goes, I think, I do like, I try not to think about this, but I feel like a lot of things, like when you read a horoscope, and it really does resonate, like, and it freaks me out a little bit that we are all led by this. But I do try to write like a lot of books. Like I'm doing a lot of research actually on like astrological, like different things that happen and histories and all that stuff, because I want to incorporate that more into the Gothic, because I think it would have been more relevant to how I'm writing the magic system. And I don't know if it doesn't directly influence the books, but it kind of simmers, right? Like you can pull from it somehow here and there, especially with something like werewolves and witches, and there's a lot of like moon work.
Yeah. So, have any of your failed scenes or costume experiments inspired scenes in your book? Has there been anything that didn't work, but you brought it back in a different way?
Yeah, so there's like maybe not my failed seances. Yeah, I have tried those as a teenager. So I don't know if I've ever written actually a seance, but I do write a lot about people who can communicate with ghosts. The entire, like the dead, Piper, obviously. And I won't say why, but where half her magic comes from somewhere that is a result of that, but the dead we keep, right? That entire story is based on a girl who can foretell death, and later can see the dead. And also, again, there's like we talk about like the folklore and the story of like Morgana, the goddess of death and winter, and that whole Slavic folklore there. So a lot of it, I'm really like fascinated by spirits, and seances, and just the idea of spirits being around us.
Okay. Now this is as far as your writing life and process, do you outline your novels, or are you a pantser?
Oh no, I'm not a pantser. No,
not a pantser.
My God, no, I wish I was. I truly, it takes so much time, but I am like, I'm not just like a plotter, I am a plotter. I have scene cards, I have everything worked out, I move them around. I'm plotting the second book of the Gothic now, because like we signed for a few, and it's a lot, like, and I feel like I've tried writing without a plan, and it just, for some reason, it just stops me. I just can't do it, because there's so many, especially when you write mystery. I mean, my hat's off to anybody who can write like a mystery without plotting, because I guess it's a lot of editing. I hate editing, so I draw the plot. I can't edit. I cannot. It drives me crazy. I just, I draw the plot, have it all figured out, and then my drafts are clean, and my edits are easy. So
I live by the mantra of let my draft be messy. because because I let it be a mess and then I go back and start. That's what I think, maybe that my zero draft is my outline,
Oh, yes.
because then I go back and I'm like, okay, this scene looks better here. This
Yeah.
is better here. Oh, we don't need this. Nothing. Yeah, that's when I go and I move things around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think maybe I say I'm a pantser, but I think that maybe I'm a plotter,
Maybe
and
you're
that
like
my
a
zero draft
serious plotter too.
is my plot.
Very detailed plotter, actually.
Yeah, I think maybe that's it. Um, how do you juggle writing, newsletter updates, being inactive on Instagram and YouTube? How do you balance writer life with life?
Planning. Everything is planning. I have a million planners, but I try to like I time block, and so I know that like every Sunday I do all my social media for the upcoming week. I plan everything out. I go through that. I pre-schedule a lot of stuff, just because I also have a toddler, clearly from this background. I'm in my rocking chair, like literally in
the baby rocking chair.
So comfortable. I should drag this into the office. So it's a lot of pre-scheduling. It's a lot of working around stuff. I just have to make sure, like, I stick to the schedule that I've created for myself, so I know if I'm writing for like a couple hours or if I'm narrating to later on, to write later on, that I stick to that schedule. And I treat it like it's a schedule that somebody had given me and they're paying me, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's good. That's smart. Say hello to Echo. She is here saying hello.
Hi, Echo.
What is your must-have writing ritual? Is it like coffee, cozy clothes, playlist, midnight spooky? What is it? What is it that you
It's coffee, no sounds, absolutely no sounds. Can't do sounds. For some reason, I have tried to have a playlist. I can't do it. I get so distracted. But definitely coffee, and I need to have a mug that's themed to whatever I am writing. So I always, when I start a series, I always get a mug that's made that's specific for that series. Except for the Gothic, I actually had like an 1800 shaving mug that I used as my coffee cup. Because I figured, what's Victorian, and then the Victorian mug.
There you go. That's perfect, actually.
It worked so well. Usually my cups have like a logo, like from Misbrook Manor. I have the logo of the funeral home that's on the cup and things like that. I just find that it really gets me like in the mood. But that's pretty much it. I just need to have my coffee in my cup and
coffee in your mug.
Quiet. So peace and quiet.
I love it. Your now about reader engagement and community. Your newsletter offers update and freebies. Is there anything special readers should watch out for in the upcoming months?
Yes. So we're trying to push up the release date of so it's called the Gothic. We're trying to I don't know if that's like on your lists, but the series is Beasts of Hedge End. Hedge End is the city where this happens, and City of Beasts is the first book. So it's set for pre-order for February of next year, but we are kind of all working like our butts off. I'm just as long as I can. I'm waiting for my edits to come through so I can work on those. But we're trying to push up the release of that. So stay tuned for that. I will be doing a signing in Toronto, and that's coming up in September. So there's that. But generally, if you're on my newsletter, I also do like really fun book recommendations of books I'm reading during the month, so we can read along with everything that I'm reading, things like that. Share behind the scenes, all of that kind of fun stuff.
I love that. I'm doing a signing in Pensacola in February, and it will be the first that I've ever done. And I will have to pick your brain off screen because I'm nervous about it.
Oh, don't be. So I was the most nervous actually. So this is like a big, like a con, basically a writing con in Toronto that's happening. I was more nervous about doing my own, like in an Indigo or which is like a Barnes and Noble's equivalent.
Right.
But I was more nervous about that. And I actually dragged my husband to the first two until I realized I don't. He's not helping. Yeah, did you really? Yeah.
I'm gonna make him go. Yeah, I've already
Oh
made him
yeah.
take time
Oh,
off.
I'm bringing him to the con because I need like an assistant to pack everything.
Yeah.
And he's great at chatting people up, so I usually like send him off to go gather and just
Mhm.
bring me the people.
Exactly.
Yeah, the singular ones. I think if you're doing like a bigger event, I don't know, it is nerve-wracking, but once you're there and you're sitting and you have snacks, you're fine.
Yeah. Okay. I have my boots set up and I have snacks. Okay.
Yeah, bring
I'm just
snacks.
gonna keep telling myself that then. Just
Yeah,
wait
no.
for the snacks.
Yeah, it's really, and you're really just talking to people who love books, right? Like that's why I try to think about it, that everybody here just loves to read, and
Yeah.
so like just talk to them like you know,
About
you don't
what
have
they
to.
want to read.
I don't think about like especially in events where you're selling copies, I don't think about it like sell a copy, whatever. I just think about like, hey, I can chat to people about things that I also love. So
Yeah. Yeah. Because I am horrible. My son-in-law, God love him. I call him my son in love. Bless his heart. I'm horrible at marketing.
yes.
And my son in love informed me yesterday. He was like, listen, they call me Monster. It's a long story. It's a joke. I called myself Step Monster to my stepkids as a joke, and they thought it was hilarious, but it stuck as a joke. And so Chris is like, listen, Monster, you're not you no, we got to do something about this marketing. You just you need to send me everything and send me your media package because
Oh.
yikes.
Oh yeah, it is hard. There's a lot.
It's hard. I see yours and it looks so beautiful. And your website, which I've got in the description, guys, make sure you go look at her website. It is amazing and it's so beautiful. I was just
did
like,
the rebrand myself. I'm a graphic artist, so it helps because then I can have all that control. But I did a rebrand. It was quite tragic before. And I did like I designed the logo fresh, and I was like, I need to go darker and something.
Yeah, I love it. It's so beautiful. It's so
percent of our job basically is
but you're not just a writer, and I don't think people don't understand that. There's so much more to it, especially when you're self-published.
Yes, if you're self-publishing, it is
tough.
I'm kind of like both.
I did both too.
Yeah, and it is the self-publishing part of it. It's nice because you don't have to wait on anybody to do anything, but it's tough because you're the one doing it all.
I like having the control over the story I want to tell.
Yes,
and I'm re-releasing some books that I did trad that I have the rights back to.
Oh, nice!
I'm re-releasing as mine, and I'm rewriting them, so that's fun. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's nice to give a book like a fresh.
Yeah,
we did that with The Dead We Keep. It was a different cover and stuff, and so we recovered and reworked a couple of things. And Kartega, I have a Kickstarter. Actually, I should give you the link for.
Oh yeah, give it to me. I'll definitely put it. I'll add it.
Because I have a Kickstarter coming out for this like massive, gorgeous edition for Kartega, and Kartega was originally a YA sci-fi fantasy, and it was like I did a lot of research for that book, but it was supposed to be a series, and I kind of just like fell into mystery and all of that, and went in a different direction, and so I combined the two books and rewrote them, and so it's a massive like 700-page tome with it's got like the end papers and the beautiful edges and artwork inside. And it's got
send me the Kickstarter, definitely.
It's really, really like I'm really proud of that book. And I got it, and my husband was like, wow, this is the most beautiful book, because we have a special edition of The Dead We Keep that my publisher did, but something about Kartega, it's got that like 80s vibes, and so the artwork is all 80s, and it's like 80s.
I'm an 80s kid, so I love that.
I think you'll love this. Yeah, it's all like neon pinks and blues.
Oh yeah.
Like holographic foil for the title, like very good stuff. I have some good artists working.
My whiskeys need to listen to me. Go and support her Kickstarter, because Mama Whiskey wants this book, and Mama Whiskey is going to support it. So go support her Kickstarter.
It's launching now.
It'll be below soon.
Follow it, and it'll be there. I'll email you right after.
Okay. The last thing about your reader engagement, and then I've got like a simple wind up questions, but on social media, you're really active, Instagram, Facebook, and you engage with your fans. So do you have any memorable reader interactions that really stick with you, or anything that's close to your heart?
Yeah. So I love when readers try to solve the mystery, like as they're reading the books. And then little post-it, and I've had like a few that kind of went back and forth, so they're arguing about who did it. And both were wrong, which was the most hilarious part, because then they were both very, very shocked at the end, because there was always a twist. So I love stuff like that, like when readers are like interacting, and I can kind of jump in there as well. And we just have like a good time on my YouTube channel. I actually do like I try to interact as much as I can with people, and we always like kind of get like a fun chat going about the books. But yeah, guessing who did it is usually
I love that. That is so much fun when they I had some beta readers that did that one time. Then but I was only giving it to them in chunks. So they couldn't read ahead. They didn't know. So,
and seeing those comments come in.
Yeah.
It's so fun.
When you get that comment like, you better not kill this character off. He's my favorite. You know, you get stuff like that. I know, the same way.
To them, like, I did. I just
yeah. So for a fun question, and then I'll turn it over to you and let you promo everything you've got going on. But if you could meet a real life witch, vampire, or ghost, who or what would you hope to encounter, and would it make it into a novel?
Oh, so a real life witch, vampire, or ghost?
Well,
yeah.
I can help you with 2 out of 3 of those, but that vampire is going to be hard to find.
I know. I was just gonna say, yeah. I mean, I feel like a vampire would be very cool to meet in real life. Like I don't know. It's just like something about like very creepy, but also like so like debonair.
Yeah.
Maybe like an old school vampire would be really fun to encounter. And yeah, I definitely write a book about it.
Yeah, definitely write a book about it. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you, and you can let my listeners and viewers know, are there any new series or genres you would like to talk about, or let us know what's going on and where we can find you?
Yeah, so just the 2 things, I guess, that we already talked about, but Beasts of Hedgend, so City of Beasts, the first book, check it out. The cover is stunning. Pretty excited for that one. But yeah, it's a gothic romantasy. It is enemies to lovers. We've got like all the fun tropes. We have a thief and a mayor's protege. There is a very cool magic system of magical gems that when you use them, you sacrifice a piece of your humanity until you become full beast, basically, and full monster. And so the story kind of continues. There's a mystery core. It's very dark, but there is humor. And yeah, the characters are really fun. So I think you'll enjoy that one. And then the Kartega Kickstarter. So if you like sci-fi fantasy, this one is more YA, but there's a whole different world. There's class systems. It's a real story of kind of like human takeover on another planet, and one girl that makes all the difference.
I love it. I can't wait for all these. I have so many doing these interviews with authors who are just so good. As y'all, I've just been so blessed to have people like you come on my tiny little show. And it's just amazing, to get to talk to you guys. And I'm like, my TBR is just getting longer and longer and longer. And I have so many books also going at the same time that, I'm like, okay, it's like I'm marking off days in my calendar after I go visit my son in August when he graduates from boot camp, but I've marked off a bunch of days and I'm like, okay, I'm reading on this day. I'm reading on this day. I'm reading on this day. Like, I gotta get on it. I'm so excited, but yeah, I can't wait. I am so looking forward to getting into all your books and checking out that Kickstarter. Yeah. And I'm so glad you were on today.
Well, thank you for having me. This was such a blast. And we both have pink, which is great.
I know. I got my pink. I love my pink.
My whole
I actually have
color too. So.
You can't see it. I wonder if I can turn hang on. I have the blossoms too.
There you go.
I have a screen that has the blossoms.
Yeah, my whole office is this color, and then obviously my daughter, and she's also a big fan. So.
My granddaughter loves this room because of all the pink. But
favorite colors for sure. It works out well.
All right, everybody. I think that all my whiskeys know what I'm about to say before I say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but I'm a particular brand of people's double shot of whiskey. And we are so happy and so proud that you came and hung out with us today and that you find us just right. We love you, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye, everyone.